Hi Reba, I'll try to make this quick, but I'm gonna try and cover several things for you. So here's your coconut, your regular coconut. Here I have taken my chef's knife and shaved it off. Now this is my cleaver, but like I said, you can use that KitchenAid that you've got. And I'm just gonna give it a couple of whacks, see how many whacks it takes to get the cap off, okay? Nope. There's one. There it is. And then I like to use this to kind of pry it off. Most of the time I can get it off in a really nice concentric circle, but this time I didn't. I'll just pry it off there. And so I've got it open, and I've got a container, and I'm really just gonna pick it up and dump it in. 1, 2, 3. And that way I've got most of the meat, or most of the water. I haven't really spilled any. Okay, and then you want your coconut water to be a nice kind of yellowish clear. I don't know if you can see that. And then I opened several coconuts, and we store our coconut water in these jars in the fridge. So now I'm gonna pour this in, take a good look at it. Looks really good to me. You can see all the coconut meat and stuff floating around. I will normally filter that. I'll just pour it through a clean sieve. So, and it should taste nice and sweet. And when you've got your coconut, if you can see, this is one of my coconuts that has a really big hole in, and that way it's easy to get into, to get all that meat out of. That was lucky, but sometimes they have real small holes. And then, of course, this hole's just kind of deformed, but it's a smaller hole. And one of the things I can do is I happen to have a bar spoon, and that makes digging inside of one of these pretty easy. And basically all I do is just put the spoon in, and I work my way around the coconut. Now, of course, this is not my favorite way to do it because the meat comes out in pieces, and I kind of like to get it all out at once. So here's a coconut that I've cut in half. I've used my cleaver and pulled it, I whacked it on this side and then whacked it on this side and got through, and then ripped it apart with my hands. And sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's a little more difficult. And basically you just take your spoon and you're going through here and you want to scoop it on out. And the more you do, you can probably do all this in one piece. Mine isn't quite one piece this time, it's no big deal. I usually just blend it all up anyway. But if the bigger pieces you get, the easier it is to clean, and I'll show you that in a second. So that's partially why I really like to just cut mine open. But like I said, Bill likes to scoop it out of the hole with the spoons. So anyway, there's my half of the coconut meat. And if you flip it around onto the back, you're gonna see, bits and pieces of shell. If you're doing more than one coconut, just throw all this stuff on a plate and handle it later. The light brown stuff, it isn't hard or anything, it's just a little bit of the shell, and you can take it off. You can eat that if you want, but if you're blending it and you need it to be white, then you want to take it off. Now, I've got some harder bits of shell here, and I'll take a paring knife and I'll just kind of scrape it off. Cleaning up a whole lot of this meat can be a little tedious, but anyway, with work you can get it pretty clean. There's the inside of my shell. You're fine, honey. Go play. So anyway, here's a bag of coconut meat. This had to have been like 6 coconuts. Sorry. And we'll just put this in the freezer for future use, and it's been pretty much cleaned up. Okay. And as far as the texture of different coconuts go, sometimes you'll get a coconut with really thick meat. This is really good and thick. And then you'll get, like I said, the thin one. Really kind of slimy. Now, I don't know if you can see it, but this one actually has kind of a purplish hue around the edges. I don't know if you can see or tell. But it's good, but the more it would have sat in the coconut, it would have gone downhill pretty quick. But those are different textures of coconut meat. You know, it can get really thin. But I mean, coconut meat's coconut meat, so you can still use it. If it's thicker, though, you can do something kind of nice like this right here. I took a big piece of coconut and I've squared it off and I've cut it into noodles. You can make them savory or sweet. Add them to salads. Because they're the thicker meat, they'll absorb a marinade. So you can use them for coconut noodles, for all sorts of things. I wouldn't recommend cooking it, but you know, you can always toss it in a sauce of some kind or a salad. And my girls actually love to snack on it. Vincel might not have liked it. Well, I guess it was the water, but maybe he'll like the coconut meat. My girls really like it. And so anyway, that's how we do coconuts. And we just usually have a jar or two full of coconut water, and then we have another jar that, you know, is mostly full with coconut milk. And we have that on hand for everything from smoothies to puddings. We use it as the base for a lot of things, including ice cream. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed, and I hope it was informative. And if you have any other questions, you can call me, or I'm sure you can Google and do YouTube video searches and probably find the answer to most of your questions there. So anyway, I will talk to you later. Bye.